Kavan. Greetings all, welcome. This is your GM in the Great Barrier, and we are here with Star Trek Adventures Broken Sword tonight. We are coming back for part 5 of our episode. Part 5 of our current episode, tlha'wI, tlha'lu'ghach. Part 5. So, before we get into things, just a couple of notes. First, just for purposes of anyone engaging with the game, if you ever want to join us live, we run these games Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can, if you hang around for it, you can be present to spend all sorts of points of momentum or threat, anything of the sort. It gives you ways of interacting with the game and enjoying fun little ways to shape the narrative and challenges our players deal with. So we hope you join us for that. As far as other notes go, before we get into direct game mechanic questions, our usual shoutouts are involved, and it makes sense to talk about the person who got us into the plot first. Let's give mention to one OverlandGamer. Joe, how's everything going over with your channel and other pursuits?
We're doing fine. Our Quality Joe, the Quest for Quality, which is the YouTube channel I'm running and growing, is seeing a lot of growth, which is cool. And over on my Twitch stream, we've wrapped up Call of Cthulhu, which was a plot twist I saw coming a mile away, so that was kind of fun. But it's interesting how the different stats affect the game. Really well done by the team over there. And we started playing Lord of the Rings Lego, or The Hobbit Lego. So it kind of went with a happier, more upbeat game for the foreseeable future. I do want to shout out, starting next month is the Fallout for Hope charity, and we'll have more information on that when we get closer to it. But I just want to give people a heads up as to that's coming up in November. So exciting Fallout stuff.
Very good. And for those of you catching this later on or expect in future videos, the link to that to be in the description of this video. I'm not sure if do they have their site up already, Joe?
Yeah, they do.
Okay, then I will probably get the description of the I'll probably have that in the description of the video, as with all the other promotional links here. The other of those being a shout out to our own ship's engineer Raldar and that player's channel, Zyla OXO. Caligo, how's everything going there?
Going pretty good. Tomorrow there's going to be a Lethal Company collab with other members of Team Monster Girl.
Oh boy, that sounds like some appropriately spooky choice of I have no follow-up to that thought, honestly. I don't know what to think about the Monster Girl collab.
It's literally the Twitch team I'm a part of. That's how I get shit.
Very good. Well, in any case, yeah, I hope anybody watching gets a chance to check them out. And just for good measure, another shout out to our good friends over at the Architects of Fate, who keep up the mentions for us as well. They do all sorts of very fun Star Trek of their own and other tabletop things, so definitely recommend it. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's get into some game notes. The first of which I did want to address a little kerfuffle from the end of last session. Very specifically, when we arrived at the first challenge of the race that we are currently doing, my notes got badly mixed up. I was less organized than I thought I had been, and I'd misplaced some of those initial challenge notes. Rather than take the diligent time to look through and try to fix that, I badly improvised aspects of the challenge which I could not properly recall. Everything from management to narration suffered there, and I felt quite bad about it. Just to provide both you, the audience, an entertaining experience, and to also give my players some fun, we discussed how to deal with the situation, whether to rectify or amend it. After discussion, the indication I received is that while we couldn't unite unanimously behind one, we defaulted to just playing with the rules as we have them from last session. So we will be taking off from where we were and just working with things kind of as they were laid out there. So, without further ado, let us get back to the session, picking up with a little bit of narrative. We start in the midst of the first leg of the Mastical Qetlogh, a grand race between various competitors for honor, for glory, for quite a sizable sum. These are all small vessels, raiders, merchantmen, probably a few blockade runners if you find them in the right context. But in any case, all of our ships, gathered at the start in the Mastical system, had gone to warp with the entreaty of the commander, or the station commander. The race has kicked off, and all of the vessels have gone to warp. They arrived in the asteroid field, the first of these challenges, where they have to navigate a very tight course. In doing so, they must pass by a series of beacons much like the one depicted in this image. They must pass them in sequence in order to achieve victory, which they do once they complete all three courses. The Yan arrived in the at the first site. So, by our stellar map here, they have approached the first set of challenges. And just make sure I get the name right. The first set of challenges at the tlha'wI, a very dense sort of area where asteroids and broken planetoids intermingle and have created an obstacle course of tightly winding fields. The Yan, under the command of our own Azek Korg, the ship's helm officer and very recently promoted captain, has elected to wind his way through the asteroid course, but with running on full impulse power, practically zooming through the course. This should have been an extremely difficult and dangerous maneuver, with the chance of grazing any number of small asteroids, but by his capability, Azek had been able to wind his way through the course, making dozens of course corrections and navigating into the midpoint of the field, where the Yan has passed between several of the large formations and, crucially, past the beacon at the center of the field. You are going to make your next maneuver out, where you are now well clear of the other competitors who are still in an earlier segment of the field, when disaster struck. The Yan rocketed through and found that there were asteroids of an unusual composition ahead. Azek elected to fly through them, and it appears that these asteroids are charged in some manner, for they have suddenly swung towards the ship. Although they are small enough that the armor and structural integrity is keeping the Raptor intact, with every collision, the lights have begun to dim. The thrusters are losing power, and your ability to accelerate, course correct, everything has suddenly gone awry. And that is where we pick up as the Jan finds herself slowing and losing power. So let's, I guess, first we'll put it back on the bridge where Azik, you are feeling the controls not lose some responsiveness, and the thrusters are registering decreased power. Again, lights flickering. Traven and Vopri are also up here with you right now. What would you like to do, Azik?
Vopri and Traven, is it possible to pulse the hull to lose its magnetic attraction to these unwanted Klingons of these asteroids?
Reverse the polarity, you could say.
Yes, except I don't have any sonic screwdrivers that we know of.
I suppose theoretically, if the charge of these asteroids is attached to our hull, reversing the polarization of the hull could possibly achieve that. I may be able to accomplish this as an engineering task, although, Traven, if you wanted to attempt science, it may be possible.
Let me see what I can do. Send all information to my console if you can.
Yeah. Vopri begins begins sending his sensor inputs over to your console. From the looks of things, these rocks, well, tell you what, give me an insight plus science roll with a difficulty of 2.
Can I use my sensors focus by chance?
I will allow that. You are still interpreting the sensor scans that Vopri has sent along and trying to review his material. I'll even go so far as to give you, let's see, I'm trying to remember. We'll go with sensors plus science here, if somebody can get the ship for me. Okay, switching to voluntold mode.
I'm grabbing it, sorry.
Very good.
What do I set the complication range as?
Complication range on this task should only be 1.
Okay, 1, I think I did it.
Okay. Well, you do succeed there, and from what you can discern, Traven, Azik's initial thinking and Vopri's speculation would not be too far off the track. You think that by adjusting the polarization, you would be able to correct for some of the issues that you're experiencing right now. So that will, this is going to require a task, and this is basically going to take up a turn for you guys in order to properly do this. But I'm going to say, Traven, that if you wish to attempt it, you could affect the repolarization with a control plus science task. The difficulty on this task would be 3.
I'm going to use my join talent, and I'm going to gain the focus of... Would electromagnetic systems work?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna gain the electromagnetic focus using Yeldum's knowledge of science, and I'm going to complication range 1 or higher.
Complication range should remain at 1. As the GM considers taking a threat for the Star Trek comedy hour in the chat, but I will refrain for now. Traven, that is 2 successes. Technically, the ship could assist you here. I'm going to call this structure plus science. Or, no, I think I'm going to shift that. Instead of science, engineering will apply from the ship systems. Well, an 18 wouldn't have helped you either way. Traven, you're loosening some of the rocks, but... Good.
What does alert do again?
Oh, alert. That trait, I believe we established that because you are all hopped up on Fractigino, you should be able to re-roll a single d20 if you should need it in order to help you make corrections to your work. So you do get 1 use of that before you need to top off, if you would like to invoke it now.
I would, yeah. Come on. Dang it!
Yeah, just, man, those are 18s and 19s. If I had spent threat, it would have been bad news. In any case, Traven, yeah, you're finding that while you've basically found a way to adjust hull polarization. It's not quite your area of expertise, and it is... you are trying to find ways to play around with the structural integrity field, but you're finding only partial success. The rocks are beginning to... some of the fragments are beginning to loosen, but others are just still latched on. They're not responding to within the spectrum that you're working in, or for some reason the charge appears adaptive. So let's see.
Captain, do you think DuPont could handle this? I can't get the equations correct.
We can sure try. Bridge to DuPont.
DuPont here, Captain.
Hey, we need some help. Are you near a console at all?
I'm at my usual post in the transporter room, but I must say that I might need some engineering help myself. The lights are... It's getting rather dark in here, and the transporter pads, I'm having trouble maintaining power to them.
Yeah. If you'll draw your attention to the nearest science console in the transporter room, you'll see that we're currently experiencing a magnetic personality of our ship. It's got to be that AI that we've got poking around in there. Could you assist us in the calculations? We're trying to basically reverse the flow of the ship's magnetic hull to get these things off.
Well, Captain, that doesn't really sound like something I can do from the transporter room, and with the shields up, I wouldn't be able to beam them away. Have you considered engineering? I can connect you if you'd like.
Bridge to engineering. I got it.
Yep. At this point, Azek's just mashing the ship-wide button, which smash cut down to engineering in the moments leading up to that. Let's see. Everybody is cloaked in the engineering pit right now. Let's fix that. Oh no, I just moved them outside for reasons. Okay, there we go.
Finally.
Yep. Tabak just glances around as the lights are flickering and the reactors are struggling. Raldar, you have no idea what's going on. Tabak's letting out the obligatory Koisha! What has he gotten our ship into? And then as it comes over the comms.
Hey, we need some assistance here. We've got some rather attracted asteroids hitting the hull. And the idea we had was to reverse the polarization of the hull to kind of bounce them off. So if you guys could make that happen, make it so.
Of course.
Sigh.
Yep. This is shared between you, Kelshaw, and Tabak at this point. Our poor beset engineers.
Nothing unites disparate engineers like a captain who pushes them to impossible things.
Yep. Tabak will say, for that matter, well, reversing the polarity of the hull should accomplish that, though. We may want to adjust the structural integrity. We may want to run a supplemental polarization. Oh, wait. Of course, the shields probably aren't helping things either. We'll need to set up a... In essence, we're going to need to create an advantage here. So this should be a control and engineering task with a difficulty of 2 for us. Raldar, if you want to take the lead on this, go right ahead. Kelshaw can even assist, or I can roll at Tabak as the assist. The ship's structure and engineering would also go to this. In essence, we are simultaneously adjusting the polarization of the structural integrity field whilst remodulating shields. That way, the asteroids that have clustered in close should ignore the vessel.
All right. Sounds like
Kelshaw would love to assist.
Yep. And in your case, Rev, if you will... First, just to double check, are you in a place where everything's working online now?
Yeah, in and out.
Okay.
It's a little busy where I'm at, that's all. So I have to cut out from time to time.
Of course. I will just say Kelshaw does receive an activation now.
Hey. Love it.
Yep. But yes, that is a control and engineering task for those of you on the player characters. Cheesy, if you would be so kind as to roll for the ship, then that would be the engine and... Or no, the structure plus engineering roll for the ship.
All right.
Can Kelshaw use her jury-rigging focus or her power management focus?
I think power management more closely approximates what we are dealing with.
Fantastic.
And what will be the roll for her?
Control plus engineering.
I got 2 successes.
Yes.
All right, rolling.
Okay. That is 2 successes from Raldar, a 3rd from Kelshaw. The combined, that means that you will have 3 successes. And let me update the momentum counter, because apparently... No, my 3 should be correct. Joe, you actually need to draw a couple, because you guys had some momentum left over from last time. We were kind of delayed in how we ran all of that. You can actually draw up to 4 momentum now because of the success of the engineers. Does that make sense?
Yep, got it.
Thank you. Okay. So yes, working in tandem with the occasional word from tlha'wI as he monitors progress, you, in fairly short order, find that the ship's engines, or the ship's modulating the shields and adjusting hull polarization simultaneously manages to do exactly what you were hoping. In effect, the vessel slowly but steadily begins to dissipate the rock formation that is immediately around it. And as you do, the vessel the power levels start to stabilize. All the reactors seem to be more or less back to normal. Everything kind of gets back to normal. That being said, this is going to take some time for you to affect that. Whilst all of that is happening, let me double check something here. Okay. Whilst this is all happening, going back. Sorry, guys. Momentarily got lost on something. Kelshaw, Raldar, if you want a moment to say anything, observing your success or words to tlha'wI, then by all means take that.
As expected from the engineer, as expected, the main engineer of the yawn.
Yes, you are always. I know that I can rely on you, Raldar, to do what we need to do to survive. Thank you.
Like Kalis, I wish we didn't have to do this. We need to survive moments so often.
There's still...
I'm sure our fates will change.
Let's not speak of such things, tlha'wI interjects, until we are through this challenge. This will be but mere child's play for what is ahead, particularly once we make the pass by the neutron star.
Yes, I suppose that, Raldar, we may be able to use the electromagnetic modifications again to interfere with any neutronic radiation that we face from that star. We should keep this in mind.
I'm more concerned about the intense magnetic pull. I'd prefer to keep the metal in our blood in there.
Of course, as would I.
Okay, things are going back to... I think I've got a handle on everything, and simultaneously, hello, Architects of Fate. Nice to see you in this evening. Hope you enjoyed your Conan this fine evening, and yeah, we're just getting through some Star Trek adventures right now. So, speaking of, tlha'wI says, power levels are stabilizing, so that's good. And that is good thinking. We may need to keep that in the back pocket for later. Engineering to bridge. We should be able to restore thrusters very shortly and re-engage on the course.
All right. Engage thrusters, I guess. We're still in the asteroid field, aren't we? So we have to watch what we use.
Yes, you are. But I should note in the in the interval of time that it has taken for you to perform this, Vopri notes, sensors indicate additional vessels are now entering the area, Captain. And looking over the Vopri begins to switch it to the display. It seems as though the Orions and the other bird of prey have caught up with us. Vessels reading as the Dreams of Avarice and the Horn of Ma'vag. The Creel are approaching the beacon in the center of the field now. The Iridian vessels and the Terran freighter are not catching up as of yet. So.
Okay. So, all right, let's punch it and try to make up what we need to.
All right. So, setting this first, just real quick, setting this over to the asteroid map, just so that we are clear on progress. It had been my hope, as an aside to the audience, that we would have had working automation for this. Unfortunately, those efforts were unsuccessful. I apologize, I could not get that through to you here. So, in essence, I need to zoom in here. The Yan has made it roughly, has made it about dead center. They are, like just at the edge of the next part of this course, which projecting out. They're on this initial track here. However, other vessels have been able to close the distance, so that is... Okay, Iridians haven't moved that far. A Klingon bird of prey, the Ma'vag, the Horn of Ma'vag, has gotten significantly closer. I need to play with their size for a moment, apparently, because I cannot spin them around this way. Jeez. That's like the worst placement. Okay, we're just going to have to live with an upside-down bird of prey for a moment. Let's see. I'm also going to have to set out a fresh Orion vessel because they are just, they are too well disguised, it seems. Alright, so, your competitor, two of your competitors have caught up to you, but you can now resume the course. As we have set, we are in the midst of an extended task in order to clear the field. So this is going to be, I believe, a control plus con roll. Since you have scored a breakthrough, this will be a difficulty of, let's see. This will be a difficulty of 1 on this task. However, you do have a resistance of 2 for any of your any successes you score going at thrusters. So whenever you guys are ready, Azek, I guess this would be your role here for control plus con.
All right. Let's see. I have my flyby whenever I attempt a con task that has been increased in difficulty due to environmental conditions or damage. Reduce the difficulty by 1 to a minimum of 1, but that doesn't help us here. You know what? I'm going to, because, well, we don't really need the momentum, but I really want to gain on these guys. I'm gonna be a captain and take 1 point of momentum for a 3rd dice.
Okay.
And focus would be helm operations, I'm assuming, would work for this.
helm operations would apply.
All right. We got the best vault in Fallout 111 right there.
Hey, there you go. All right, that is a 3 successes with control plus con. If somebody could also roll for the ship, that is engines plus con. All right. Well, while there's no additional success there, you do, however, still manage to exceed the difficulty of the task, which, frankly, would have been tough not to do. Azik, first I'm going to say I gave you a mistaken instructions right now, so I'm just going to say draw 1 additional point of momentum, and after that you should be correct in the system.
Done.
Very good. So that's 5 points there. Also, I have much more threat or rather, the system shows I have much more threat than I actually have, so let's correct that. All right. Azik, you can now roll me... what is the roll? You can roll challenge dice on the Jan. As a reminder, it is... Or rather, you can roll challenge dice for yourself, but it should be 2 plus your discipline. Or your con discipline here. So I think that should be 7, if I'm not mistaken.
5, 6, 7, yep.
Very good. And since you are electing not to use impulse engines this time, you do not get the bonus in challenge dice.
Okay, so roll 20. It's kind of finicky. I set the dice. I click out of the text box.
You would press the enter key first.
Yeah. I did that. And then... There we go. 7 dice.
Okay. And that is 7 points of work. That is 3 2s and an effect, which counts for 1. Let's see.
Can we spend to reroll?
Yes, you may spend a point of momentum to re-roll those zeros. Joe, if you want to drop that point of momentum, then that's up to you there, but that would bring you down to 4 points of momentum.
Yes,
just set
I'm
the
rolling
challenge
3 for just those zeros.
Okay. So that totals out to 9 point... you do a total of 10 points of work, so this is going to easily be enough to clear what is left of the field. So
Betty doesn't mess with us, does she, while we're flying through?
Betty hasn't been messing with you this whole time since you've actually been on the track. She's been kind of as far as you know, she has been a non-factor through the race since you've disconnected from the station. Taybach apparently had a conversation with her. So
good, because my questions in Discord are still there. That option is still there.
Jeez. So the Jan fires off its thrusters, and you immediately start winding its way through. You see Azik on the sensors behind you, the Orions and the other bird of prey is currently they were quickly closing the distance. During this increment of time, your thrusters fire off, and you wind up managing to put a fair bit of distance from you between them and the others. As this is going on, however, you notice, you start moving through the field, cutting the turns, which are much more jagged in this segment of the field compared to... Whoop. Accidentally crushed you guys like a tin can there. That's not till stage 3, I guess. You wind up managing to get around, and as you take another look at the sensors, 2 different things happen. The first is the misfortune which befalls the Orion ship, who I have been rolling as a whisper here, and they scored a complication. Very particularly, they run into a different set of asteroids, and let me double check that.
One of them is the voice of Ralphie. I'm in danger.
They most definitely are, as they try to, I think that as part of the complication, they are going to try and do what you didn't do. These are a different set of asteroids. They don't show any signs of the electrical charge, but they are going to opt to try and blow them out of the way. And, let's see, 2 successes, but yeah, they unfortunately find that the asteroids are combustible as they explode immediately next to them, and they are going to be buffeted by, let's see, that is 2 effects. Explosion here. They're going to take 4 points of damage to their shields. And that's going to send them, it's also going to be enough to knock them off course, and they're going to lose the turn correcting for everything. Simultaneously, however, the bird of prey fires up its impulse engines, and they very quickly just zip by. They are taking dozens of smaller asteroids, just pounding through their shields, as they're not taking the turns quite as deftly as you are. That being said, I'm going to drop some threat, because they, on their challenge dice, they rolled... That was...
I don't mean to interrupt, but you've got a bot in chat.
I see. Well, we all know what happens to them.
Feed the moopsie.
Yes. For anybody that wants some fun little emotes, we have moopsies that are free for the channel. You only need to follow us here, and you can get cute, playful little moopsie friends, which you can unleash in the chats of your enemies or streamers that you are a fan of. Yeah, we have the extra viewers now, consequently. So yes, follow and get free moopsies. Subscribe, and you can wield true divine power. I will shoot eye beams at whoever's chat you post me into. I am a kind GM. But anyway, I am dropping 2 points of threat, speaking of being a kind GM, to let the bird of prey ignore some resistance. And as you are clearing the last turn, they are going to simultaneously cut around that, having zipped through the course quickly themselves. The bird of prey, its wings swooping over the yawn, and if they pass at such a close distance as to, if this were an atmospheric flight, your any sort of intake that your engines had would be feeling it from them, just backwashed in their trail. As it is, their impulse engines do buffet you a little bit. Yes.
Question: they didn't go through the asteroid?
No, they did. They catch up to you. They passed through the. They passed through the beacon while you through the second beacon, the one in the center, as you were dealing with the rocks, basically, that had clung to your
So, this is Joe talking, not Azek. in science, they tell us that opposites attract. And so, therefore, our hull is currently not charged correctly because of our little deal with the magnetic asteroids. Is there any way that we can utilize our advantages with the magnetic hull to allow them to pull us a little bit and maybe save on some power usage for our next die roll?
I'm going to rule no, or it wouldn't be anything substantial enough to, because they're moving at impulse speeds versus thrusters, they are not close enough to affect any significant sort of distance, nor are your hulls so powerfully magnetic as for it to be a major pull. The only reason that you had to do this was because the smaller asteroids were exceptionally magnetic. Also, you really don't want ships to be that attracted to each other. That's a problem, as we call it in the business.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. So, let's see here. All right, yeah, so the bird of prey will clear out relatively soon after your effort, and then they're going to punch up to about warp 3. Just heading off to warp. I'm going to broadcast this roll in the open just so that everyone can see I am taking, in case I can take threat from this. This should just be a simple control plus con, assisted by engines and con. Well, I'm not taking any threat from that, but they are going to start jumping ahead of you.
Warp speed there. Wait, that's me.
Yep.
So control and con again, I think.
Yep. And you may expend power equivalent to the warp factor that you wish to use.
What power are we at so far?
Anybody who has the ship sheet open? Looks like, well, you should actually have been down 1 point of power when you used impulse engines. Wait a minute. You also should have taken a penalty from the, you ought to have taken a penalty from the power dampening rocks that hit you from last session. Let me roll it back.
Are we at 5?
I'm going back to check now. I've got to get to the other end of the macros that the macro mess I'd set up.
And I will say, I feel very intimidated by that other ship, and therefore I think Dauntless should take effect. Whenever you are attempting a task to resist being intimidated or threatened, you may add a bonus d20 to your dice pool. The ship is very intimidating.
I vote no. Okay, you should be at 4 points of power right now. I think I rolled that I used the 3 effects from the challenge dice roll when you made contact with the tlha'wI class asteroids. So you can choose to match the Horn of Mavag. You can attempt to you can simply attempt to you can try to overtake them, or you can go slower. Depends on what you so desire.
I want to overtake them.
All right, that'll be maximum warp then. You can expend all your remaining power and go to warp 4.
Yep. And then I will spend 1 momentum to make sure I get 3 dice. for this die roll. Using my helm operations again.
Okay. That will give you 4 points of, or rather 4 successes on that roll. So that will give you 3 points of momentum back. And yep, the yawn clearing the last field and passing just behind the bird of prey. I'd say you wind up a few minutes behind them as you were very close to clearing the field. You make a close pass of the beacon, and after that you are able to jump to warp.
And we have a max of 5 that we can hold, right?
You can
From
only you can go up to warp 4 right now because that is the
the momentum.
Oh, well, your maximum momentum would be 6 points. That is the overall size of the pool. Yeah. The only reason I gave you like a weird different thing earlier was because I had given you improper instructions. I meant to say that you should have picked it up to where your total was equal to 5 instead of, or rather no, your total would have been equal to a certain amount, and I gave you wrong instructions. That's all you need to know here.
No worries. I didn't want to, have a floating momentum out there, and then we have to remember to use it.
Of course. Yep. So, with the yawn escaping the field and power largely expended, we are going to cut, I think, between scenes here. I'll tell you what, we can, if you guys would like a few moments to discuss strategy, we can take like a quick break here before we start the nebula. This will give me a moment to reset as well. Hi everyone, GM in the Great Editor's Suite here. I'm going to admit that this was not my best run that evening. I was not in a good state. There had been technical errors that I was not able to manage, and all of it kind of came to a head at one point in the session when we went on break. I accidentally muted myself through a large swath of the game whilst leaving myself unmuted through the break. The player audio could be heard, at the very least, in the sections that do not get edited out here, but nothing I was saying could be. In order to compensate, I'm inserting some audio here as best I can. I'm going to be denoting this by presence of my token in the bottom left corner of the screen, in order to provide you all as much context as I can. I will try to make this as seamless as possible. I apologize, this took me some time to get out. It was an effort to find a proper way to fix this and manage editing it while also getting both Aegis and Broken Sword to their season finales. So, let us get back into it. Let us start with our first scene back in engineering. Down in the reactor pit, the Yon's engineers glance over the readouts from the mains. Fluctuations in the power grid from your earlier asteroid encounter are finally coming under control, but you have diminished your reserves. At the main console, Chief Engineer Raldar and Kelshaw are reviewing power distribution, searching for any non-essential functions you might momentarily take offline.
Raldar, a question.
Yes.
Do we need transporter systems?
Well, for a race, I would say not.
So, why are they still powered?
I think it's in case our creative captain decides to acquiesce them on the moment.
I was simply thinking if we shunted power from non-essential systems like that, which are doing us no good for this entirety of the race, we might be able to even use them as secondary generators.
It would help with the power, especially if we turn off the lights.
Well, we may need lights to see.
No,
Not all of
us.
us can see in the dark.
No. I meant the lights in the transporter room.
Oh, good.
I think I mentioned that. I think Tabak mentioned at some point cats have good vision in the dark.
I'm sure he did.
Starting to feel like we're going to take away DuPont's life support.
Oh, whoa. We need the heat. We need the heat.
He doesn't need the heat, though. That room, we can just turn off that room completely. He just needs
We can
air.
lock the doors, too. The doors really need to open.
Look, we can close the vents, too, just to make sure he doesn't go where he's not supposed to be.
Kelshaw might like that line of reasoning a little bit too much. Let's not go that far.
We're keeping the spite from his failures to do.
Oh, yes. So we're going to be trying to regenerate some power, right?
Yes. I think we've set up our lore reason for our power management task.
It's all about the lore.
Indeed. I'll take that narrative rationale. Thinking better of suffocating your fellow crewmen, you try to pull power from systems which won't immediately be noticed during the race, and try to boost power generation so as to replenish your reserves. The power management task applies here as a control plus engineering task with a difficulty of 2, in which you can succeed at cost to replenish a point of power.
All right.
Excellent.
Yep. Because I am chief engineer, I do generate 1 bonus momentum to use on the task, so...
Yes, that will be good.
That'll be good. Oh yeah, doesn't the...
Since this is happening in main engineering, the difficulty of the task also goes down by 1.
Oh, right. And I have power systems focus, so... Easy peasy. 3 successes. So that'll be 3 bonus momentum.
Kelshaw is not going to help pass her theory, unfortunately.
All right. So.
Very good. 3 successes will exceed the difficulty of 1, granting 2 momentum.
But I get a bonus point because I'm a chief engineer. So that's 3 bonus momentum.
Since it is all floating, would you like to spend any of that?
Let's just put that all in the power.
Yeah.
So, that'll do us 4 more power.
You begin working in tandem, rerouting power from various systems and pushing the matter-antimatter reactors to regenerate energy. The steady pulsing of plasma and the hum of the engines increases in volume, while your displays show bars of energy that are starting to refill. Theon has managed to find her second wind thanks to your careful management. Although in the transporter room, DuPont glances around in a panic. Oh dear, the lights have gone offline. I do hope we're not about to die.
No, of course not. We just turned off the lights.
And we got 4 power?
Yep, we'd only lose a system if we rolled a complication.
Above board, Calico is correct. You haven't lost any functionality, and DuPont's suffering is purely for comic relief. But yes, you do regain 4 points of power.
And there we are. That should help us to get through the next leg of this death race.
Hopefully.
Theon has only cleared its first challenge, nearly falling victim to the asteroid field's environmental hazards. More still awaits you in a micronebula on the second leg, and beyond that, the gravitational crush of a neutron star. As an editor's note, I did cut down a segment where rolls were conducted for the racers still stuck in the first leg of the qetlogh. Due to issues of automation through these segments, as mentioned earlier, it was a time-consuming process, and much of what you heard is me apologizing over the tedium and just inexplicably poor rolls. Suffice to say, it was looking like Theon this was going to be the Jan's race to lose.
It's okay. We all struggle.
At this time, the Jan remains in transit, soon to arrive at the second leg. Before we do, does anyone else want to have their character do something or propose a scene?
Kresic had his thing that he was going to do to try and create the advantage that we talked about last session. So I do have that.
Refresh my memory, Rev.
It was because of the radiation in the nebula from the subspace corridors, he was going to come up with an inoculation to help the crew so that they might be able to skirt closer to some of these pockets to make a faster path.
So synthesizing a stronger anti-radiation treatment, we could definitely tend to that with a roll or momentum expenditure. Would you like a scene for that?
I do not necessarily need a scene for this, but I just wanted to make sure that it got handled. Unless you especially feel like playing the family doctor. Because that would be the only scene that I could think of, would be him calling in the family doctor because he's not allowed to give inoculations to the captain or his family anymore.
Okay, would you prefer to buy with momentum or roll a difficulty 2 task for it?
I'd like to roll if I could.
Understood. Synthesizing the dose will be a control plus medicine task. Focuses?
Pharmacology. 1 success. Dang. Man, the rolls are not with us.
Unfortunately, that will not be enough to succeed on its own. You may, of course, succeed at cost.
Wait. Would the ship assist?
The ship could help you with computers and medicine since you are using its computers and equipment to produce the doses.
Don't let me down, ship. Whoever's rolling.
Somebody else roll. I've been doing terrible.
All
Hey,
right,
it's,
all right.
it's the ship. It's the
What
ship.
do
The
you-
ship never rolls well.
All right, what do you need from the ship?
Computers and medicine?
Oh,
Yeah,
good luck.
I know.
Yeah.
Hey, it was worth a try. It was
It's
worth a try. Okay. Yeah, I'm okay with succeeding at cost then.
Very well. Kresic, you are able to synthesize anti-radiation doses in this time. You are quite sure that if anything breaches the shields or hull, this will make a useful preventive dosage. It'll buy time for vital treatment. Unfortunately, it's not as strong as you were hoping for. It isn't going to prevent the crew from getting radiation poisoning if you deliberately cross through substantial concentrations of nebular material. That'd be hazardous. Anything capable of getting through the ship's defenses at that level could still be very harmful to the crew.
Gotcha. So maybe instead of making it, reducing the difficulty of tasks or something, it could reduce or remove a radiation-based complication that could happen. Is that what we're saying? Instead of allowing them to take risks, it should at least bolster their ability to survive unexpected events. Gotcha. Okay. Sounds good. Yeah. Because that was the original hope, to at least be able to skirt closer. But hey, safety is good. Safety is a priority.
And I could imagine that, Kresic, that you relay the formula for the anti-radiation doses to Dr. Chutja and how to make it, starting with the most insultingly basic biology texts.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We absolutely would. It would be, Klingon medicine for dummies. Yep. Excellent.
During the intervening hours between obstacles, Kressik will begin circulating these supplemental inoculations from the reactor pit up to the bridge. It almost feels rote for all the excitement of the first course, but the qetlogh is as much about testing the endurance of a ship and its crew on these long hauls as it is through the primary hazards. From the pilot seat, Azek, you've still been learning something about this version of the crew, but they are as surefire as the gambler's instinct which pulled you into this risky gamut. Navigational sensors show on your present bearing a large gas cloud, the micronebula, which constitutes your second set of obstacles. You adjust your course to pass by the next beacon, located on the edge of the nebula's perimeter. Once you neutralize the warp field, the visual display fills with a majestic pinkish-purple cloud, brilliant light radiating off of this small stellar nursery. Captain, we have received code from the beacon and can proceed inside. I have a read on navigational markers. Vopri reviews the console, checking passive readouts on the stellar formation before you, eyes darting from screen to screen. Impulse engines and thrusters should function, but warp will not be available. The micronebula is very dense and possesses high concentrations of alpha particles. These may impair sensors and tactical displays. Vopri places the nebula on the forward screen for all to review. I have sensor readings on the navigational buoys. Based upon the qetlogh briefing, there are 3 courses through the nebula which, with varying densities and compositions, with the next race beacon and the subspace corridor entrance at their end. The longer path will be easier to traverse, while the shortest route is much more inclement.
All right. Drop to would impulse be sufficient over here through here?
Above board, as I make these paths visible, let me explain the task. You once again face an extended task to navigate the nebula with control or daring, plus your con discipline. But it will change between the 3 routes as follows. The long way is the easiest extended task. It has a magnitude of 2, so any work you will have to do will overcome a resistance of 2. To reflect the length, the work track will be 24. The sort of middle path, reflecting the middling difficulty, is also a magnitude of 2. The resistance will increase, however. The work track, however, is only at 18. The most difficult of the extended tasks will be at a difficulty of 3. Though the shortest route, it is more difficult, and you have to overcome a resistance of 5 when you are doing that work. But the work track is only 12 points to reflect its brevity but difficulty. I will ask you to choose your course before rolling and venturing into the micronebula.
This is Joe to the players. What do you guys think we should do?
I'd say medium. Like 5 resistance is tough.
My first thought is going for the shorter distance, but you're right. It's I believe we could get through it, and I think we could succeed. But yeah, I think the middle road. What does everybody else think?
The real question is which one will let us find Bahan's monster sleeping in the middle of the nebula.
Encountering that specific cosmozoa. That
Yeah.
sounds like quite the random encounter. Speaking of random encounters, I just so happen to have a random encounter table just like the asteroid field, which may impose new challenges on the players. As with last time, this will be triggered either by player complications or by threat expenditures.
What about the other guy? What the other folks here? What do you guys think?
We're gonna need navigation, right? Like we're gonna need visibility.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Is there any way, Vote Pride, that you think we could compensate?
I will do my best to hold sensor contact. If we lose it, I can route power to sensors and try to get a closer look.
So there's no way we could just keep a ping out and know where it is.
Basically, yeah, you could lose the path at some point due to the interference in the nebula. You would have to roll a task to reacquire the beacons. So, which way do you want to go?
I mean, I'm down to clown. I'm
Yeah,
down
but-
to clown, but
I thought our illustrious, mega pilot would take the fast and difficult way.
Yeah, I think that if Tabok were here, he'd want us to go the most dangerous way. So I think Quick's also a good choice.
I think he would ignore Tabok's words.
All right, let's do it. Let's go for broke. The shortest distance. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Sounds like we've got a vote on one option. Do you want to run thrusters or impulse?
Oh, we're going thrusters.
All right, you've opted for the most difficult of the three routes. This will be a control plus con task assisted by the ship's engines plus con with a difficulty of 3.
And flyby would reduce it by 1 too, wouldn't it? Yeah. Difficulty due to environmental conditions or damage to the ship, to the engines.
Actually, yes, that would reduce the difficulty by 1. Any momentum?
Yep, I'm going to spend 1 to get third die. And then I will use my focus for helm operations. Actually, for this one, because we want to stay on task, on course, would sensor operations be a lot better for that to avoid any potential hazards in the nebula itself?
That works.
Yeah. All right, let's punch it.
That is 4 successes.
Does the improved RCS already applied? Or does it apply?
Improved RCS is about evading targets. I don't think it quite links. Go ahead and roll for the ship. Engines plus con.
Getting it selected now. Sorry, my roll 20 is being a little laggy.
That is 1 from the ship, plus 4 from Azek, so that is definitely enough to succeed. Joe, go ahead and roll challenge dice. As with the last challenge, that should be 2 plus your con discipline. That is 2 and 3 effects, so that gives you a total of 5 work. Still some zeros in there. So after resistance, that isn't going to do anything yet, but you do have momentum that you can
I was going to
spend.
say, can we do a couple things? What's our momentum pool at right now?
I think that the momentum in the should be at 4 right now. I will admit, once again here from the editor's suite, the momentum situation got a little bit messy, and I may have miscounted it.
Okay, so if I may make a suggestion to the team
Go ahead.
spend 1 of those 3 floating points to reroll our zeros. Spend 2 more to ignore 4 points of resistance.
I would agree with that.
hit it.
After expenditures, the crew was able to roll some additional work. It is also at the point where it was at this point that I expended some threat in order to trigger the encounter table. I'm going to cut down a little bit here, just because a lot of the encounters were based on enemy ships being there, trying to sabotage them. Nobody was close enough at that time.
Yay! It's a long, quiet night. We're fine.
It was not, in fact, a quiet night. I considered picking the option of EM interference with the bird of prey that was finally starting to catch up to them. Still decided that they were too far out and went for one more reroll. The crew didn't oppose me here, right, guys?
Go ahead and reroll. I'm fine with that.
Do it.
Venture.
The table yields the nebula current option. As the yawn has been cutting through cloud layers with relative ease, deflectors and engines proving more sufficient to the task. There is an inkling, though, that this will not last. As if picking up the slight breeze that portends a storm out on the high seas, there are shifts in cloud density which steadily buffet the ship. Sensors show that the swirling gases, whether by gravitational influence or energy of newborn stars, are flowing in cross currents on the Yon's course. The beacons you are meant to follow are even having trouble anchoring themselves in these choppy seas. Because of this, the currents in the nebula will increase the difficulty of your next con task as you try to navigate the gale.
Okay. I'll spend one for a third die. Continuing with helm operations. And you said flyby is not going to work for us this time, right?
Now it actually will.
Here, flyby would definitely apply and would mitigate the current adverse effect. The winds may be stiff, but Azek is a leaf on the wind and can soar past this.
Punching it.
Well, while the ship does not succeed, Azek will score 2 successes, which, thanks to that last breakthrough and the flyby talent, this was enough to succeed. So, Azek, you may roll more challenge dice.
Yep, 7 of them. That'll do.
That is a 2 and 3 effects for a total of an additional 5 work.
And it's two to reroll, right?
1 to reroll.
1. So I'll reroll 2 of them.
That adds 1 more point of work, and this is where live audio resumes. I will make acknowledgement of the mistake here, but we'll just keep trying to roll on.
We'd basically have to spend 2 more points in order to get... Would that even get us 6? No, that... Yeah, if we spent 2 more points of momentum to ignore 4 more resistance, we could get another breakthrough, but that's up to you guys. There's a lot of momentum to spend on a roll.
Yeah, it is. What do you guys think? I'm all for it, but I want to make sure to get your guys' input.
Well, that big ship I think is gonna have a bit of an advantage on us because their shields are really good, so they can like resist a lot of the nebula stuff.
So any advantage we make now is going to help us, you think?
Yeah, because we've already got a huge start. If we can keep the huge jump ahead of them, I think we can
Yeah,
not
I
worry
agree.
about them as much.
Any opposition, I guess? We're going to drop 2 of them.
Do it.
There you go. 2 of them are on the table.
Very good, very good. Also, would you guys like to know what part of this is really adds up to this being a scuff stream.
What?
Well, guess which one of us the players have been able to hear, or rather the audience has been able to hear this entire time.
Not us.
Nope, you had it wrong. It was just me. I have been muted for I don't know how long. So this is going to be very fun to... this video is not going to the archive for a while. I'm going to be recording
Listen.
over myself later.
Listen, this is just the what we get to do now is we get to do Mad Libs. Next week is Mad Libs of what the GM was saying between each pause.
Goddamn,
Oh, God.
everyone does their own dub of the GM, and it gets released on the channel as special content. That's how I launch my Patreon. Do the GM Mad Libs. God damn it. This has been a bad day. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah.
We can blame the hurricane.
Yes.
I'm just thankful to be hanging out with you guys. It's been a rough week, so I appreciate these times when we get to get together. So
Well, I'm glad you can enjoy that. I hope that my clowning is all the entertainment that you need, and I hope that the audience is. I hope that the audience's bafflement this past amount of time, is it's its own thing. All right. That being said, if you guys want to expend the 2 points of momentum, then you could ignore enough resistance to, I think, round out the work track there.
yep, and I dropped it, so
Okay,
should be good to go.
making corrections here. All right. And so let's see. The yawn at this point is going to let's see. Azek, despite the cross-currents of the nebula, you manage to weave through what you think to be the most damaging or most counterproductive of these experiences, and find your way through the nebulas and various bits of through the detritus, through the discharges. It's a difficult track maintaining the Raptor's course through the what mariners of ancient worlds might have considered a storm of sorts, or it is very much in those similar conditions. But with your efforts here, you do manage to keep the ship stable and along its proper course. Just for while all of this is going on, I'm going to set your one rival back to a public sort of role, just so that you can see their progress. They're the only ones that close the distance, and they instantly complicated. The GM can truly do nothing properly right today. Oh dear.
I'm sure their captain has a determination.
Oh no!
Oh, I don't like that one, whatever it is.
No!
It includes tlha'wI in it, which can't be good.
Yep.
It's a good day to die. Is that what that translates as?
No, it does not.
Did the monster find
Is
them?
that Borg?
That is not Borg.
No, I think the
either.
monster, the nebula monster found them.
As you during this increment of time, Azek, you find that you're steadily finding a rhythm with the ship's thrusters, trying to use the nebula's currents to your advantage. But it seems like things are steadying out when Vopri calls over as his console starts blaring out various signals. Captain, unusual sensor readout. I think I am detecting signs of antimatter discharges. Photonic detonations, and quite considerable amounts of them.
Just a quick out of character thing. Is Twitch spinning for you? Did I show it just spinning for me?
Oh,
No, it's working
yes.
for me.
Okay.
My bit rate
Nope.
has come
Now
down
it
a
starts
bit.
spinning.
Yep. Nope, we're getting to the stage where everything else is breaking down now. This particular part it's just the one Voyager episode, Course Oblivion. My laptop is presently reverting back to the polymer that it was. I am doing that. My mic is doing that. No, my mic is fine. I got this special. It is not the case. The router, however, or maybe just Twitch's servers are melting down and turning into that. So this.
Well, if their servers are in Florida, then that makes sense. But I don't know where their servers are.
I would hope not. In any case, yeah, all manner of issues are going wrong here, and there's quite a bit of a mess. Oh boy. But yes.
Okay, so what do you want to do? You want to keep going forward then for our listening pleasure?
I mean, I don't see the point in restarting it at this point. We're already I will have to do the work to just get this re-recorded later.
To be fair, the ship whatever's happening to the ship's not a bad stopping point either. So,
well, no, but the point is that they're. Well, let me look. We're at about half past. We could conceivably go to a part 6 and just pick up on this next time. I guess the crucial question would be is to be clear, Azek, the Yon is not being affected by this. What Vopri is telling you is that there are basically, it looks as though somebody is firing photon torpedoes in the nebula, which would suggest that battle has been joined somehow. And as you understand it, that means one of the racers is being dishonorable and is attacking someone in combat, or there's other battle being joined right now. The question that may linger in your mind would be what to do next. Or what is Azek's
Vopri? Oh. Okay.
Which you can...
Vopri, take recordings or readings of those and store them of the attack that's happening. Be sure to include in that sensor data thing our armament of photon torpedoes, or our current count, and the status of our weapons, to make sure that there's no way that it can come back to us. And then
I will create a log. I can say, however, I can only detect... let me do that again. I will log that. However, I can only note that I detect signs of discharges. I do not have confirmation of any sensor data, or I cannot conclusively say that photonic weapons are being used, and that a vessel is attacking another, anything of the sort.
I just want to make sure that we are not going to get blamed for it, and then just keep moving forward, keep trucking forward as fast as we can.
Okay. So yes. So Vopri will make a quick log of that. Traven, does anything about the situation otherwise strike you, or would you have any opinion to voice at this point, as Azek is set on going forward and winning the race?
Can I see if those explosions are like Klingon make? And if there are some that aren't?
You may attempt to do so. This would be a sensor task. I'm going to say reason and science. The Yan may assist you with sensors plus security. This is going to be with all the nebular interference, this is going to be a difficulty 5 roll.
And what was you said control and science?
Reason plus science.
Reasonable science. Would for honor and glory apply here as a value?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go for the auto crit.
All right.
It's my favorite.
I will give that to you.
And do I get my sensors focus?
You do.
What's the complication range?
It should only be 1 in this situation. Okay,
That was weird.
You definitely roll me 1 more d20 if you please. Well, you just rolled 2 crits in a roll, a 4 and a 2. Combined with the automatic critical success from your value, that is 6 successes on the board, Traven. Go ahead, and if you'd like, you can roll the ship.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Sensors plus science on the ship?
Sensors plus security.
Security.
So yeah, I give you a difficulty 5 roll. You roll me 7 successes. So that will be 2 points.
Well done.
Of momentum that you can draw for bring your pool up to 4. Traven, functionally speaking, you are a science officer in this case, so I will give you a bonus momentum that does not go into the pool. It is expressly for you to use to ask a question. First, I'll tell you, your sensor readouts, you route as much power as you can to them and try to focus it, try to penetrate through as much of the static discharge and interference from the nebula's gases as you can. It doesn't tell you much, but you are as certain as you can be with with everything that you are putting into these sensors, with the fact that Klingon sensors themselves are much more precise when they tell you the nature of ships and the weaponry they're being used. You are as certain as possible that amidst what appears to be a heavy cloud of alpha particles somewhere, there does seem to be the detonation of photon torpedoes, and they do appear to be Klingon in nature. You can further discern there is a possible hull signature or power emission that looks like a Klingon ship, likely the Bird of Prey, based on scale. What is missing, or what you don't see, is what should be another ship. You would expect that there would be power emissions of some kind. If it were one of the competitors, the computer could readily recognize some sort of signature, or they could see if there were other weapons being fired, as you would recognize them. There's nothing of the sort here. That Bird of Prey is firing torpedoes at something, and based on the number of detonations, it's as if they're emptying out their entire magazine.
Weird question. Is there any other type of signal, like radiation, electrical static that's not supposed to be there, or there's an exuberant amount in that area close to them?
There are some unusual energy readings that, despite your best efforts, Klingon sensors are just not well situated to tell you what they are. Certainly something with a high concentration of alpha particles. There may even be more concentrated electrical or other sort of discharges that seem a bit more forceful than you'd expect. But that's about all that you can tell, or the readout is intense.
Captain, it looks like they unloaded every single thing in their battery. Whatever is out there, they are almost frightened of it. I can't get any other hull signatures. There's no other weapons, but they're firing at something out there, and they're trying to kill it fast.
All the more reason for us to press on.
I would prefer not to die to whatever is out there. Vopra says.
GM, can I save those readings? All the readings that I took?
You may do so.
Do we have... Oh, go ahead.
What's his name? Beat up face Klingon. What's his name?
Hemok.
Come on. Wait. You're saying there's a battle out there, and we're not joining? That doesn't sound very honorable to me.
We are in a battle right now. A battle of the race. One battle at a time, sir.
Oh, okay.
Do we have any probes on board?
Jessic does.
I was gonna say, Joe, you're on a Klingon scout ship.
Well, I know,
An
but we've
aftermarket one.
we've got a couple of Gorn, and we've got a very scientific Trill. So I didn't know if maybe we had picked up a probe or something at some point. We could drop it off to have it just keep picking up sensor readings, and then we'd come back for it. But
I'm gonna say no in this case.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah.
The only probes that Kresic has are the medical kind.
Yes. But yeah, Azek, the readout shows you that the this is on the other end of the nebula. So if indeed if you were to attempt to give battle, then that would be quite its own problem. But more importantly, the portal and victory is not too far ahead, so you can simply engage if you press on your current course, and sticking to it, you can just basically arrive at the last beacon in the nebula, and even more importantly, the subspace portal.
That's what we're gonna do.
All right. So. Let me set this up here.
Quick question.
Yes.
Would you say we're at long range from where the bird of prey is at?
I would characterize it as extreme in the nebula.
Okay. Can torpedoes reach that far?
Torpedoes can reach that far, but this is very much you would be firing blind, and there's a strong enough possibility that your torpedoes would be detonated by the static discharge. Really, there's nothing for you to properly target lock here.
Well, we can see where the explosions are happening.
Yes, you can try to. You could try to fire. You could target that explosion and fire, and hope that does anything. But this is. Honestly, the difficulty rating ought to go over 5, or you can do 5 to get the general area and maybe affect some outcome.
Right before we're leaving, Kamak would like to provide some aft torpedo assistance to see and at least help, blow something up on the way out.
Captain, does Hammock have permission to waste torpedoes?
Oh, he wasn't going to tell the captain.
Oh, gotcha.
There's Klingons that are fighting, and he's not just going to let them take all that glory for themselves.
All right. You make the pass by the nebula beacon, and Azek, you can see that the portal is not too far ahead. Hammock, if you wish to fire, this is a weapons and or this is a control plus security task. Ship's weapons and security would apply. Are you firing one torpedo or a salvo?
You don't want to get in too much trouble, so you're just gonna fire one torpedo, poop a torpedo out on the way back.
I will take a point of threat. I'm just going to max out the difficulty at 5.
Sweet. Can I spend my determination, something to prove?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Control and security, right?
Yes. Are you taking the auto crit for your determination?
Yes, I am. Sorry.
Okay. Well, that is a complication on that roll here. Let's see how the rest of it goes, because you're currently up to 3 successes. Traven, Cheesy, would you like to roll for the ship?
Weapons and con? Or
Weapons
security?
and security. Okay, that is a single success from the ship for a total of 4. Yep, that is 1 shy. First, however, we have to deal with that complication. Rev, you have rolled a complication as Hammock. Would you prefer to take a narrative complication? Would you prefer to ignore it and give the GM 2 threat? Or would you prefer to buy it off with 2 points of momentum?
Let's give you some threat. You're looking kind of low.
I appreciate that. My sad threat pile will appreciate this.
You're gonna need them for the third leg, so
Yep. And even then, it may only slow you down.
So I have a suggestion for an advantage that we could get.
For what? Just a spin to make one?
No. For the buoy to not detect that we just shot a torpedo.
The buoy would not necessarily. Well,
No,
it might.
the buoy doesn't have that kind of.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. It's more just got an anti-tampering feature. If you're not targeting it, it doesn't care. And I don't think that anyone is going to suspect that a single torpedo caused any major issue, or just firing something off into the nebula. That could just be a misfire, for all they know. But yeah, you fire the torpedo, it goes off blindly, and yes, it's a throwaway.
Just keep sailing.
Forget. Yep. You lose sensor contact with it. Azek, you see the torpedo fire off and just go in the general direction somewhere deep in the nebula, losing a track on it.
What was that?
What was what?
I am sorry. No. It appears. No other context. We appear to have launched a torpedo into the nebula.
Well, I mean, yeah, I wasn't gonna let those Klingons die without at least trying to help other Klingons.
Bridge, why did we have a power surge?
Hammock decided to launch a torpedo against my orders.
Okay, kill him.
You told me not to turn around and fight. Well, we didn't turn around and fight.
I said we were continuing on the race. The race has very strong rules against combat inside the parameters of the rules. That could have easily disqualified us from our current task.
I mean, I don't know. Finishing a race or helping Klingons. But I think that's a no-brainer. I mean, I'm not the brightest here, but
As all this is going on, another voice joins in from engineering. I want details, Tabak says, his voice authoritative and some sense of resolve here. And I think this will be where we leave off for Azek. You realize that... well, I think that this is a point where both officers have a point, and that Tabak is the one person that, now that he could be aware of this, might have something to say that would influence your course here. He may defer to the captain. He may side with Hamok and say that you need to proceed back along the course. But I will let that judgment come next time, and this is where we will leave off. So for those of you in the archive, you'll eventually see this episode in some form. I'm just going to apologize. It's going to take a hot minute because, oh boy, do I have editing to do. And audio to record. I hope in any case when it does come out in some form that you enjoy it. And we will come back with this later. Until then, hopla and enjoy.